Hello and welcome to the podcast today. Today I'm joined by Linda Tollas. She is a guide and uh, a bit of everything here in Haida Gwaii. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you do here.
Before we dive into today's episode, I want to tell you, if you've ever dreamed of experiencing one of the incredible destinations that we talk about on the show, be sure to visit farandawayadventures.com. For over 30 years, I've helped travelers discover some of the most extraordinary destinations on Earth. If this is of interest, check out the link in the description to farandawayadventures.com, and we'd be happy to make your next trip unforgettable.
Okay, I didn't live here for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
After I married, I moved away and came back in 1997, and we were watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
We were watchmen at Skedans, which is my ancestral home, for 2 seasons, and so that's where I immersed myself in my culture.
Mm-hmm.
Learning everything I could, anything that I learned, I presented it to guests that came, just that I was so proud that I knew all this.
Yeah.
And so for those 2 seasons, we closed the camp in September. The next year we opened it in May. So watchmen are there from May to mid-September.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came home and after the September trip, and there was a job offering for Gwaii Haanas for a cultural interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
And so the what they had for that I needed to have in my education, I didn't have it all. But they phoned me and asked, could you please apply for the job?
Mm-hmm.
I said, I don't have all the qualifications. And they said, we'll teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So at 50, there I was learning to operate a computer. They said, you're doing the tours, which is part of your job, and the rest we can teach you.
Well, that's great because, it sounds like, you grew up in Haida Gwaii and you learnt the culture just through living and breathing with everyone that lived here. Then you left for a period of time, but then you came back. It's,
Yes.
Tell me, was that a hard transition at all?
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
No, being from here, my husband not being from here, actually he's German, and but he loved the idea of coming to live in a Haida village.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you call Skidegate home, do you?
Skidegate has always been my home.
Mm-hmm.
Both my parents were born there, and then all of us children, 7 of us, were born there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, no problem growing up here.
Mm-hmm.
School was another problem though, because school here went to only grade 10.
Okay.
So in order to get to graduate, I had to move away. So I moved away for 2 years, but home for the summer, of course. And my schooling was in Squamish,
Okay.
BC.
Well, it's so nice to see, like, we're here in Skidegate, and this is the Heritage Centre where you can
Yes.
see the poles that have been raised as a kind of a special monument. But can you tell me a little bit about this particular place that we're at?
So the idea is for all of the world to see what Haida Gwaii has done. We're proud of what we've done, what we've accomplished, and we wanted to present it to the world. And because we do have people coming from all over the world to be here on Haida Gwaii. So these buildings we wanted it to look like a Haida village, what it was like in the past, the buildings which were either 2-beam houses or 6-beam houses, and each building would have a different purpose. And the poles were to represent the 6 villages, and including Skidegate, and some that are down in Gwaii Haanas. So they hired carvers, and they were presented with like, okay, you're gonna put on your pole, but they interviewed each chief from each village, and asked what they wanted on the poles. So that's what's on these poles now.
Okay, so it's a great way to preserve that legacy as well. For many years, there hadn't been new poles erected, had there? Like, tell me a
No.
little bit about the history of how that restarted, I guess.
Well, Robert Davidson was a teen at the time, and he carved the first pole. He had
The
help
first
from
in the
first pole
newer
in
times.
100 years, and so he carved this pole with the help of his grandfather and his younger brother. They worked on the pole.
And around when was that?
That was in 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
69 is when he put the first pole up.
Okay.
And he put it up in front of a church in Old Masset.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's still there. And so that was the first pole. Then Bill Reed also put up a pole in 78. And in Skidegate, that was the second pole. And then these have come as well. Yeah.
And there have been a few others placed throughout the Haida Gwaii.
Yes. And more, it seems. And so there even is a pole in Windy Bay. And that's where the standoff against logging happened. And so that pole is there. First one in Gwaii Haanas in 130 years.
Wow.
So that one represents and talks about what happened there.
Well, these poles are such a really important part of the culture of this area. It's great to see that they've kind of been able to restart this tradition. It's a lot of work to put a pole together, though. It's not something that can be done in a few days. It's a year or longer sometimes.
It is. And the first thing you're doing is finding a pole that's large enough. I mean, we have had a lot of logging on Haida Gwaii, and just because of the size of our cedar poles, our trees. And so it's a matter of going through the forest and finding the right tree. So that's the start of it all. And then it's brought out and brought to where you're going to be carving and working on the pole.
Yeah.
And depending on what the occasion is, determining what you're going to put on the pole as well.
Now you have an opportunity to teach people about all these traditions and this culture. What other types of things are people frequently asking you about when they come here for the first time?
They want to know how the lineage is, especially if we're matriarchs here in Skidegate. So it's the chief of the village, sister, children. That would be the next chiefs. And that's the biggest thing that they are trying to figure out. Plus, our clan system. That's another, that we have moieties. There's an eagle and a raven moiety, and each of these moieties are clans. So there's eagle clans, there's raven clans. And so this is the part that I have to explain quite a few times before it's established. And the aha moment is the fun part of it.
Well, and each clan also has their different symbols, or
we have our different crests.
Or crests, yeah.
Yeah, and there are eagle crests and there are raven crests. So if you look at a pole, like for instance, the beaver is an eagle crest. The skana, which is the whale, is a raven crest. So those are two examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, with all this cultural tradition, do you have a favorite location that you love to visit here in Haida Gwaii?
Everywhere on Haida Gwaii. It'd have to be my ancestral home of Una Ilnagai, which is Skedans.
And what is there now?
There's poles still standing. There's also a memorial pole still standing, but leaning over quite heavily. But just because I was a watchman there, and it's my favorite place for talking about different locations. We have also the pit where our houses had once stood, and just seeing how much of a a big area that house was.
Mm-hmm.
So they could be 70 by 70. They're big houses,
Mm-hmm.
long houses.
Wow. And now a lot of these sites here in Haida Gwaii are not easily accessible.
No.
How do you get to these places?
Well, everyone that goes into Gwaii Haanas goes through the Gwaii Haanas office.
Mm-hmm.
So what they do is are getting user nights
Mm-hmm.
when they travel into Gwaii Haanas. So if they're going to be there for 5 nights, they use 5 days. You're paying for that amount.
Mm-hmm.
So we have licensed operators that travel into Gwaii Haanas. We also have independents that go into Gwaii Haanas, but they all go through an orientation, and this orientation is just to keep our national, well, not national, but Gwaii Haanas as pure and as safe and as beautiful as possible with no garbage. And we can't help it because on the trips that I've been on, we also go to different beaches and we pick up the garbage that is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes in the Japanese current, which is warming Haida Gwaii. And so a lot comes in off of the sea. So even though it's been cleaned maybe the year before, there's still more the next year.
Mm-hmm. Always work to do.
Always, yeah. They don't always do it, but
really, the only way to visit these sites is by boat.
Yes.
There are certain sites, like where we are here in Skidegate, where we can go to the cultural center here, or the Heritage Centre, where you can kind of visit. But to really get to some of these really culturally sensitive areas, you have to be on a boat. How are people traveling to these areas?
Well, some of them are dropped off on kayaks, and what they call it is a mothership that will transport them to a certain area and give them so many days to get to another site, and that's where they'll be picked up.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily coming all the way from here, all the way down, because that's quite a distance.
Yeah.
And kayakers, well, one year when I was working with Gwaii Haanas, there was a Japanese fellow that circumnavigated Moresby.
Oh, wow.
So everyone was on the lookout for him. So, okay, where is he now? Did he come to Anu? Did he come to Skangwai? Just seeing where he was. Of course, the west coast is quite rugged, but there's also beautiful bays that you can go inside to the calmness of it. So he'd pretty well have to check out his route.
So that's the simplest, is the kayaks, but then there's little small boats and ships and cruises also.
Yes, there is. There's independent pleasure crafts. There is also licensed operators that will take you into Gwaii Haanas and transport you there to all of the Watchman sites. And it's usually the main aim of a lot of the people that come here to Haida Gwaii is to go into the Watchman sites and just experience the culture there.
Now tell me a little bit about these Watchman sites. There's special sites, but they also have people that live there in the summer months as watchmen over this area. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So the watchmen that are there are from the beginning of May right to the mid-September, some of the cases. But Skangwai is one place that, because of it being the World Heritage Site, everybody wants to go there, so that's a really busy site. Skedans, Una Ilnagai, where I'm from, or my descendants are from, it's closer and easier to get to.
Okay.
Because you can,
it's more accessible.
Because it's an island. It's Louise Island is where Skedans is, and so you can circumnavigate the island, have lunch there, then carry on back. So if you're just going to Skedans, that's the busiest place, but it's always within the time that you're spending there that you can visit.
Okay.
And so the watchmen they're there mainly to protect the sites, and some of the protection was faces were being cut out of poles, initials were being carved on our poles, frontlets that are over our mortuary poles were being taken, and so we needed it protected. So it started out as a volunteer position. And then eventually it got to the point that they decided they needed watchmen in every site. And so they are now paid for their jobs, and so it's a summer job. And sadly, it's not a sought-after job. It seems to be the same ones that are having to move within. When I was a watchman there, you were at a site for 2 months, and then you would move to another site to be familiar with every site that's in Gwaii Haanas. And but it eventually is to the point where I know that my niece is going to be down there all summer, and she went down at the beginning of May, and her son is at Kayaking Gwaii now, and they're going to be there till the full time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great that they're willing to do that and to really shed some light on this incredible culture. I know over the centuries, relics have been taken away from this area. Some of them have been returned, and it's great to see a resurgence too of the continuation of the poles, raising poles and sharing with the world this beautiful culture that you have here.
Yes.
So, but thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us today on this podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. Discover your next unforgettable journey at farandawasadventures.com. Experience the world differently.